Okay, so I want you to picture this for a second. You're running, say, a huge sports bar, or maybe a security command center.
Right.
It's the biggest game of the year, or a major incident is happening, and then bam, a whole wall of your monitors just goes dark.
Yeah, that is the absolute nightmare scenario for any AV integrator.
It is. And the fix is usually just, panic, tearing a giant, heavy unit out of a rack, shipping it off for weeks.
Mhm.
But today, we're looking at a piece of hardware that completely flips that script.
We are.
We're doing a deep dive into the WolfPack 4 Port 1080p HDMI Output Card from HDTV Supply.
Specifically, part number HDTV FM OU2AHD. And output card sounds a little dry,
A little, yeah.
but the whole philosophy behind this little board is it's actually fascinating. It's all about what you could call decentralized reliability.
Okay, so we've got all the technical specs and the system data right here.
Uh-huh.
Let's start at the beginning. For someone who doesn't live inside a server rack, what is this card actually doing?
Well, to get the card, you first have to get the box it lives in. These slide into what are called WolfPack matrix switchers.
Okay.
Think of a matrix switcher as a high-speed traffic cop for video signals. You've got dozens of sources coming in, cable boxes, PCs, cameras, and you need to send them out to dozens of different screens.
So this card is basically the exit ramp.
It's the exit ramp, exactly. This specific one is a slide-in module that gives you 4 of those HDMI destinations. It enables something called cross-point switching.
Which is just a fancy way of saying.
It's a fancy way of saying you can send any input to any group of outputs you want instantly with no bottleneck.
I did see something in the specs that caught my eye.
Yeah.
It mentioned needing a 2480W SHU 4K HDMI input cable to get a signal out to 25 feet. Why so specific on the cable gauge?
That's a physics issue, really.
Yeah.
24 AWG it's a much thicker wire than the cheap HDMI cable you'd buy online.
Right.
When you're pushing a full 1080p signal that far without any kind of booster, you need that extra copper. It reduces resistance, prevents dropouts. It's a small detail, but it tells you this is built for professional jobs where you just can't have the screen flicker.
Okay, now here's the part that I really had to wrap my head around, and maybe you can help. The compatibility list for this card. It fits in a standard 8x8 chassis, which, makes sense.
Sure.
But it also fits in the 16x16, the 32x32, all the way up to a massive 160x160 chassis.
Which is pretty unusual, isn't it?
It seems almost impossible. How do you design one card that works in a small box, but also in this enterprise beast with 160 inputs and outputs?
It's a huge engineering challenge. Normally, when you scale a backplane that large, the power needs, the data speeds, they all change dramatically. You'd expect to see a different, way more expensive card for the big units.
So for WolfPack to use the exact same, $250 card across that whole range?
It means they've standardized the entire backplane architecture. They've figured out how to make the power and data so stable that this one little component is just universally compatible.
Yes.
It's incredible foresight.
And that gets us to the reliability part. We started with that nightmare scenario of a system breaking.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm that sports bar owner and output port number 3 on my system fails, what happens?
In the normal, a monolithic switcher, you're unplugging everything. You're sending the whole box back for repair.
Right.
With this design, you undo 2 little thumb screws, you slide out the bad 4-port card, and you slide in a spare. The whole thing takes maybe 30 seconds.
It's like changing a tire on a car.
It's better, actually. It's like changing a tire while the car is still driving down the highway.
How so?
Because the system is modular.
Yeah.
The other 76 screens in your venue don't have to go dark while you swap out the one faulty card. The show keeps going.
That brings me to the whole ecosystem then. We're focusing on this HDMI card, but are you stuck with just HDMI and these universal slots?
No, and that's the real power here. You mix and match. So in that sports bar, you need a bunch of standard HDMI outputs for the TVs behind the bar. You use this $250 card.
Okay.
But what if you have a projector in a banquet hall 300 feet away?
HDMI is not going to reach that far, not without a lot of help.
Exactly right. So in the slot right next to your HDMI card, you slide in a fiber optic output card, or maybe a video wall processing card. You're basically building a custom machine with off-the-shelf parts.
And the prices for those other parts, they're not crazy either. I'm seeing fiber cards, input cards.
Yeah.
They all seem to be in that $250 to $450 range.
It kind of democratizes the high-end features. You're not buying a fiber optic system. You're just buying the 2 fiber connections you actually need.
It really is a total shift in mindset. You're not just buying a product. You're buying into an infrastructure that you can actually maintain yourself.
Which, for any IT professional, that's the gold standard. If you can fix it yourself in 5 minutes, it's a good piece of kit.
So what we have is a $250 component that is the universal key for a system that can scale from, I don't know, a conference room to a stadium, all while keeping things running.
Simple, modular, and robust. It's what you want.
I guess I'll just leave you with this final thought. If